The U.S. men's national team have just fallen to Canada 2-0, a dos a cero victory for Canada in a incredibly hard-fought and well-won victory for the Canadians. And I think that's, first of all, credit to the Canadians. This was supposed to be a World Cup cycle that was going to be a coming-out party for this young group of Americans, and Canada has ended up stealing the show. They tied Mexico away in Azteca. They tied the Americans away in Nashville. They end up beating the Mexicans at home and beat the Americans at home. They are the kings of CONCACAF right now. A tremendous victory from Canada. A game that was very reminiscent of old school games between USA and Mexico. Some of those old school games in Columbus where the Mexicans dominated possession and got the ball in advantageous positions, but the Americans were able to defend very well and defend with a lot of structure and then counterattack absolutely ferociously. In those old school games in Columbus, those Mexican USA games, the Americans would make the Mexicans fight for every blade of grass, and I think we saw that tonight in Canada. Very hard fought right from the first whistle, and I think Canada definitely earned that victory. A frustrating one from the U.S., a frustrating one, because I think the XG will bear this out. It's not like there was a lot in it, man. It was not like there was a lot in it. Canada was able to get that early go-ahead goal and a mistake from the U.S. I think we definitely saw early on. We definitely saw some of that rust, some of that that rust we were worried about with a lot of these Americans having not played a lot, either the MLS Americans or the European Americans not having played a lot. And then on the flip side for Canada, there's not a lot of more informed players in the world right now than Jonathan Davies, and he was able to combine well with Larin on that goal to put Canada ahead. Really tough game. U.S. still has a lot in front of us, but boy, we really wanted to get a result in this game. We're gonna get into all that and more on this live edition of the Yank Report. We're gonna go through the lineup and a lot of the tactics and everything, and kind of go through it. And we're also gonna get some live comments from you guys in the comment section. And I think. I think Jake says it all right now. What a poor result. That was difficult. That was tough to watch. What was supposed to be a real coming out party for the U.S. ends up being the coming out party for Canada. Once again, credit to Canada. Let's start with the lineups. And not a lot to complain about in the lineups for the U.S. I mean, we had Matt Turner, Serginho Dest, Chris Richards, Miles Robinson, Anthony Robinson, Tyler Adams, Weston McKennie, Yunus Musa, Brendan Aronson, Giassi Zardes, and Christian Pulisic. Only thing there was Pepe not starting. Still disappointed not to see Pepe get a start in the first two games. I thought whenever Pepe came on, he did some things there that were positive for the U.S. and would have been great to see him start. Outside of that, it was really tough. Tim Weah not being able to make it to this game, a situation with his vaccination where his vaccination was good enough for France but not good enough for Canada, and therefore he had to miss. Perhaps Greg would have rotated Tim Weah anyway, but it would have been great for Tim Weah to come off the bench because he's just been the only American who's been able to be competent in the final third in the last 6 months or so. So that put us at a bit of a disadvantage. The tactical thing that I saw here that was a little bit different than the first game was instead of Weston McKennie being on the left side, Weston McKennie was on the I'm sorry, I got that backwards. Instead of Yunus Musa being on the left side, Yunus Musa was actually on the right side tonight, which is where we had seen him line up a lot more recently, so he was back on that right side. And we also saw Christian Pulisic played a lot further up top. He didn't drop in as much, and because Giassi Zardes was starting up top, he didn't drop in as much, so there was a lot more space there for Weston McKennie to make penetrating runs from the midfield, and we got that a lot. So it looks like we kind of learned our lesson from that game a few days ago, so that was better to see from the U.S. But as we saw, it didn't exactly play out the way we wanted. So let's get into it. I think early on, the things that I saw is, one of the frustrating things for the U.S. in possession is we we don't mix it up too often. Whenever we want to switch play from one side to another, it often has to, it's one player to the next. We don't skip center backs or anything like that. We don't do big switches, but we do see one of the players who actually is hitting big switches is Yunus Musa. A big switch from Yunus Musa early on in the game leads to a poor cross from Robinson, and I did see Musa actually doing that a few times, but once again, it didn't lead to much. I think I want to click on this from Tyler Avon, who says, "Am I crazy saying we played better today than we did versus El Salvador? We just faced quality competition this time." And honestly, I think he's correct, man. I think in a lot of ways we did play better. I thought we lined up better tactically. I thought we got in a lot of advantageous positions. It was just in that final third, we were not able to win those matchups. We were not able to do the things you'd think we'd want to do. I mean, we got Christian Pulisic in that space that you want to get Christian Pulisic in a number of times, especially in the first half, where he was one-on-one with a Canadian defender, and that was all that was between him and the goal. And he just wasn't able to win that matchup. And I think that if you're the U.S. men's national team, you're trying to get Christian Pulisic in that matchup, and you're going to bank that he's going to win it more often than not. And unfortunately, recently, we just haven't seen him be winning that matchup. And I think the same can be said for a lot of players across the board. We did see a lot of balls into Giassi Zardes, and I thought Giassi Zardes won a lot of balls. He won a lot of flick-ons. His hold-up play was pretty good, particularly in the first half. I didn't have a lot of things I was frustrated with about Giassi Zardes. Of course, he did have some bad touches here and there, and he did play some balls out. I don't that did happen, but I thought we got a lot of good from him. I thought we got a lot of good in this first half. It just didn't go our way, and eventually Canada found that breakthrough. Guys, before we go too much further in this, I'm going to have to play an ad real quick. So I'm going to go ahead and knock that out before we get too deep in. We'll catch you on the other side of this.
And now a word from today's sponsor. BetOnline would like to wish you a happy betting new year as we continue our march towards the playoffs and beyond. BetOnline remains the #1 spot for all betting action in 2022. New year and a new updated desktop and mobile website. Sign up today and receive your 50% welcome bonus on your first deposit. Just use promo code BELIEVE, that's BLEAV, to get started. From football, basketball, hockey, boxing, UFC, and of course soccer, right to your favorite Vegas casino games, don't wait to take advantage of all the amazing offers available in 2022. BetOnline is the fastest and easiest way to wager on all your favorite sports. BetOnline, where the game starts.
So in the 6th minute, it did not take long for the U.S. to go down. It was the 6 minute, 30 seconds. A short goal kick from Matt Turner gives Canada a quick counter, and this is frustrating for so many reasons, man. I mean, the big thing against Matt Turner is his on the ball ability, and we saw that here. I don't know if this is an issue where Matt Turner is out of form and out of season because he hasn't been playing regularly, or this is just bad from Matt Turner. This is just what you get from Matt Turner, or if this is a situation where the weather was bothering him and he hit the ball wrong, but he put the ball in a terrible position. There was nobody around. Giassi Zardes did try to come back and win it, but unfortunately it didn't happen for him. Davies gets the ball from Canada. He plays it. No, I'm sorry. Larin gets the ball from Canada, plays it in Davies' feet. Davies makes a really nice pass into the American box for a quick 1-2. Miles Robinson kind of botches the recovery run there. Larin is away on goal and puts it past Matt Turner for that first goal. And man, besides that, I mean, that first half, if you look at the XG from the first half, it was I believe 0.3 to Canada and like 0.3 to the U.S. Canada was slightly ahead, but man, there was not a lot in that first half, and it's just one of those things where the Canada just, they had the players in form that took advantage of that moment, and you just saw a difference in the crispness in the final third between Canada and the U.S. Just a really frustrating moment there. But there was good moments from the U.S. I think in the 12th minute, Pulisic finds a ball in behind on the left flank. He gets a corner. He gets the corner on his defender and fires a cross in that's easily collected by the keeper. I mean, this is where you want Christian Pulisic to get the ball. He beats that first man, but but his delivery into the box was really poor, and I think that was true throughout the night. I think there was a lot of crosses from Anthony Robinson that were poor. Brendan Aronson made a lot of really bad decisions in the final third. Serginho Dest, I don't recall a Serginho Dest delivery, and I don't recall him being all that active in the final third either. And even Weston McKennie. I mean, Weston McKennie had some nice balls in the box later in the game, but there just wasn't a lot of delivery. I mean, how many times can you recall like Giassi Zardes having an opportunity to score the goal? I remember one moment in particular, and I might be able to find that in the notes, where Robinson was able to get down the left flank and play a ball to the near post in the direction of Giassi Zardes, but it was far ahead of him, and he just wasn't able to get it. Just a tough game for the U.S., where we're seeing this team that just is really struggling to put together anything coherent in the final third. And once again, it's rearing its ugly head in this game, where it was just a hard fought game, and Canada was not going to give up anything easily, and they were able to find their goals on the counter, and the U.S. was not. The biggest moment for the U.S. in the first half, the best opportunity, was a free kick, a corner kick from Christian Pulisic that found the head of Weston McKennie, and Weston was able to put it on goal with some power. Unfortunately, it was right in the tracks of the Canadian keeper, and he was able to. It was still a nice save. He was able to quickly get his hand up and deflect it over the box. That was the best moment from the U.S. in the first half as far as shots on goal. But I will say that the U.S. was actually threatening quite a bit in that first half. It was just how often was that final ball, that final pass in? It was either just the wrong decision, or it was directly to a Canadian defender, or just it wasn't executed properly. And that was, I mean, I don't know if that's a lack of being informed, because a lot of these players have been out, or what exactly it is, and it's frustrating. I think Tyler Avon once again has a good point here. I think we realize that Aronson isn't Reyna, and unless we play with a 10, Reyna is still way better. And like I don't want to put this all on Aronson. I don't think Aronson was awful. I think Aronson gave us the game that Aronson tends to deliver, which is that really high energy, high pressure. The U.S. won the ball a lot in the first half due to presses and pressures, particularly through Aronson and Zardes. That they combined really well to put a lot of pressure on that Canadian defense, and we got the ball in the situations where we wanted them. It was just that next step, where putting it in a position to create a chance, where we just failed over and over again, and that led to this game where the U.S. was unable to get any goals, and it was a frustrating result and a frustrating moment for the U.S., where now we have to go to Minnesota and get a result against Honduras, and in order to save this window and keep the U.S. On track to qualify for the World Cup. Once again, credit to Canada. A great match from them. I want to select. Where's Chris? Cam Strickland says, is Gio still injured? And yes, he was definitely still injured. Gio is likely to come back at the end of this window and come back, but at the moment, not so much. And I saw somebody comment, and I kind of missed it, but saying Christian Pulisic actually had a good game. And I thought tactically he had a much better game than he did against El Salvador. He got in much better positions, and I think we found Christian Pulisic where we want to find Christian Pulisic. A lot of times he was in that right channel, running at defenders, either getting to the byline or running directly at goal. He was in great positions where Christian Pulisic has in the past either found passes that lead to goals, or just beat a defender and get a shot off himself. But for whatever reason, Christian Pulisic just doesn't seem to have that ability in this moment in time right now to beat that defender the way he did so often in the past. He's just not blowing by defenders the way he used to, and not creating or scoring the way that he needs to, or the way that we're putting him in positions to do so. And speaking of that left side, I think one criticism that I have is against Anthony Robinson. And I think this was a game where, in that last game, Anthony Robinson was free to run up that left flank, and he did so very well. He got that goal. But I think in this game, we needed a much more technical Anthony Robinson, and I think that's kind of where he falls short. And there was a lot of moments where he either lost the ball or he made an ill-advised dribble, kind of dribbled right into a defender, and it it just didn't work out for him, and it didn't work out for the U.S. attack. I think that's sort of the difference between Serginho Dest and Anthony Robinson. Serginho Dest is so good at that, and Anthony Robinson, he's much more of a just get up the flank kind of guy. And whenever we were trying to break down Canada, whenever they backed defensively, it just didn't quite work out with it for us. Team Gearhead, a new member on the Yank Report, says Zardes was out of form. Pepe should have been in. The subs should have happened in the 60th minute. Terrible management from Greg. If we lose Wednesday, we have to start having conversations. I don't know what the situation is with Ricardo Pepi. I'm kind of at a loss there. I'm really surprised that he didn't get the start in this game. I'm surprised he didn't get the start in the first game. I don't know if it's something going on with Ricardo Pepi that we're unaware of, or if it's Greg just choosing him. If it is Greg just choosing him, it's disappointing, because when Ricardo Pepi came on, he was a bright spot for the U.S. He was being proactive, and he actually did get a half chance or two in there on net. It just didn't It just didn't quite work out for him in this game. As far as the substitutes, I don't know. I thought the substitutes came in and we had an opportunity to change the game, and it started. They actually did start applying pressure for the U.S. We did get some unlucky breaks there with Tyler Adams getting that injury, and then Richards getting that injury right after that. If we lose Wednesday, terrible management from Greg. If we lose Wednesday, we have to start having conversations. I don't know. The reality is the U.S. is still in a great position to qualify for the World Cup. If the U.S. fails to qualify for the World Cup, then Greg is going to get fired. Anything short of that, nothing's going to happen with Greg. Just not. Anything short of the U.S. failing to qualify for the World Cup or some type of scandal emerging, nothing's going to happen with Greg. I don't think conversations will start, but we are in a position where we have to win that game at home against Honduras. Luckily, the squad has been rotated a little bit, so we'll see what happens with Tyler Adams there. That's the big concern, but hopefully the U.S. will be able to go all systems go and have Tim Weah back and be able to really go for that victory at home for Honduras. Umanu Verity says ref was solid, didn't stop the game that much. Yeah, I thought this ref had a really good game, honestly. I thought that the game in El Salvador was really stop-starty, but I thought that this ref had a great handle on this game. I thought that the yellow cards were proper. I didn't really see anything from the ref that was disappointing. DMAC with a $2 donation says no LDT to unlock that defense. Yeah, I think I think we're seeing that Greg wants to ride or die with this MMA midfield, and that if he's going to make a substitution, it's going to be Kellen Acosta. For whatever reason, he doesn't feel comfortable bringing in Luca de la Torre. I think that the interesting thing about Luca de la Torre that we've seen is I didn't actually check this game, but I know in the last game, Luca de la Torre was the attacking midfielder option on the bench that Sebastian Lletget didn't dress for that El Salvador game. Now, with Tim Weah being out for this game, I didn't actually check to see if Sebastian Lletget was even in the lineup, but it seems to me that Luca de la Torre has been moved up in that pecking order in Greg's mind as that option. I don't know, the situation hasn't been right, or Greg hasn't trusted him in the moment, or whatever it is, to bring in de la Torre. Now, that being said, I really don't know if this is de la Torre's game, considering how open it is. De la Torre is fantastic at, like you said, unlocking defenses and that transition game. But as far as the defensive transition, I don't know if that's where you want him. He's the knock on de la Torre is his athleticism, and I wonder if we saw throughout the game that Canada was able to spark on these counters, and we needed Tyler Adams to come up really big, Yunus Musa, Weston McKennie, these really athletic midfielders, even Kellen Acosta, these guys that can cover a tremendous amount of ground. That's not Luca de la Torre. So unless you're putting him in like a 10-type situation where he doesn't have quite as much defensive responsibility, I can see that. But as far as in this particular game, I think I kind of understand why Kellen Acosta was brought in and why the subs were made. And honestly, I thought that ultimately the subs, they proved to be pretty good. The U.S. was creating chances whenever we switched to that 4-4-2 look, whenever Paul Arriola came on. And you saw some moments where, Paul Arriola had that bicycle kick in the box. Ricardo Pepi had that ball that squirted through, and he had that opportunity. It just, we were not able to put those chances away. They weren't great chances. They were decent chances, but, I don't know. The reality is the U.S. is still in a great position to qualify for the World Cup. If the U.S. fails to qualify for the World Cup, then Yeah, didn't help for the U.S. Hey guys, if you're in the chat right now, I see there's a lot of people watching right now. Be sure to hit that like button. I'm not sure where we're at on likes. I can't see that, but I'm assuming that we could always use some more. So go ahead and hit that like button if you're out there. Vincent Flores says, "Reality is Canada is deeper up front. We only have one target man, 19-year-old Pepe. They are more dangerous by a mile." I'll say this: I think that we saw form in this game be a really important factor. I think there was a lot of conversations coming into this about Ricardo Pepi's form, about him not scoring goals in a long time. And then outside of that, you have Ferreira and Zardes, who are both players who are out of season right now in MLS. Looking around, I mean, there's not a lot of Americans who are playing a lot right now outside of, let's see, Chris Richards, Weston McKennie. Maybe you can say Brendan Aronson. There's Tim Weah just came back from injury. And on the flip side with Canada, man, there's not a lot of players playing more or better than Jonathan Davies in the world right now. And in that moment where you needed to be clinical and crisp and direct, Jonathan Davies made the pass that won the game for Canada, and that was it. That's so often that's it in soccer. So often it is that final moment, and it just didn't come through from the U.S. Yeah, so I think just asking brings up a great point here. So if we fire Greg, who are we getting? Bruce Arena again? And yeah, that's kind of the thing, man. I know a lot of people are calling for Greg's head right now, but this isn't a great moment to go out and find head coaches. And by the way, speaking of head coaches, I mean, Herdman for Canada has just done a tremendous job with this squad. He's got them playing so disciplined, so compact. They remind me so much of like a classic American squad that just defends really well with numbers behind the ball, and then just counters with ferocity and all hell breaking loose and some quality attackers. And that's how they were able to beat the U.S. tonight. So yeah, I don't know who's out there that would be a great replacement for Greg Berhalter right now. I don't know if that's even the answer, right? You know, there's variance in soccer. The better team doesn't always win, and things kind of go one way or the other. We saw a game a few days ago against El Salvador where the U.S. really dominated, created a bunch of chances, but weren't able to finish and only won 1-0. El Salvador could have somehow got one back on us and tied that game. In this particular game, it was a lot more kind of dead rubber. I didn't see the final XG score, so I don't really know. I think Canada ended up nudging us out in XG in that second half, but certainly in the first half, it was dead rubber on XG, but Canada was just that little bit crisper in the final third and was able to get it done. Oh, man. Matthew A. says, this match just reinforced the fact that Pulisic is finished. I wouldn't go as far to say as Pulisic is finished. I think one thing we know about Christian Pulisic is he tends to be a very streaky player. There's been moments in time where Pulisic has been just out of his mind in form and seems to be able to just do whatever he wants in the field. And this is certainly not one of those moments. We know that he's unhappy with his situation at Chelsea. We know that pretty much all the attackers at Chelsea are unhappy in their situation. He's not finding a lot of joy in his soccer right now, and I think that's being reflected on his play for the U.S. But this is still a very young player, and it's still a player with a tremendous amount of quality. This is a player that put Sergio Ramos on skates in the Champions League semifinal not too long ago. This is a player that scored a goal in the EPL not too long ago. Christian Pulisic can find it again before the World Cup. But I'll agree with you that as of right now, it's not. Pulisic is not the star boy that's gonna just go out there and win his matches. Imanu Verity says, 2-0. Guys, don't worry. The U.S. will qualify. Jamaica is up by 1, and Mexico will chase that second spot today. Thanks, Mexico dude. Or that Mexico dude. You're saying you're a Mexico fan. Yeah, I think the U.S. is still pretty secure in that top 3, and I think that the results right now from the other teams are kind of shaking that out. But I don't think that's what people are really upset about right now. I don't think it's about qualification. I think it's about showing dominance as the king of CONCACAF and showing that this young group of players is going to be able to just dominate the region. And certainly in this cycle, that's not going to be the case. Canada has already taken that crown from us. Credit to Canada. It's going to be a question of whether or not Canada can maintain that through the World Cup. We've seen a lot of times where teams are great in qualifying, but kind of lay an egg in the World Cup. And on the flip side of that, I remember Mexico not too long ago needed to get into the playoff to qualify, and once they got to the World Cup, they did really well, or at least as well as they always do in the World Cup. So that's going to be the next challenge for Canada. Can they take what they've built in qualifying and bring it to the World Cup? For the U.S., it's going to be, we're still building. This is still a building process. I thought the team played decent tonight. I thought that they got in positions where they wanted to get in positions. It just wasn't able to finish the way that we wanted it to. Alan Smith says, GGG isn't going anywhere, but we need to lower expectations for the World Cup. We'll qualify, but Greg isn't getting the best out of the talent. I don't know, man. I don't know. I remember many World Cups where the U.S. went in with a kind of disjointed and dysfunctional squad and ended up playing well. I mean, particularly that U.S. team under Klinsmann was kind of all kinds of wild. And then in that first game, Josie Altidore goes down. Klinsmann didn't bring any other striker, so Clint Dempsey has to be striker, and the U.S. is able to, get results that nobody was expecting them to get through, get to that fifth game, give Belgium absolutely all they wanted, and still have an opportunity to proceed there. In a World Cup, you're traditionally, especially for the U.S., and the U.S. is not going to be in that top pot. I don't think it's even statistically possible for us to get into that top pot. I know that we're pretty high up there right now, but I don't think that our opponents are going to allow us to get into that top pot. So the U.S. is going to be in a group with another power, with another top 10 team. So it's going to be about beating those two other teams and then doing well in that other game, and that'll get you to your third game, to your fourth game, and then at that point it'll be anybody's game from there. But I think the U.S. is playing really well, and I think that it's going to be anybody's game there. And once again, in the World Cup, it's not going to be one of these situations where you're playing away and you're playing on a small pitch that has turf, and you're playing against a Canada team in their home field that is just fighting for every blade of grass. It's going to be a lot more neutral. So I think the U.S. has every possibility of going further in a World Cup than they've gone in the last few years. I think that's still on the table, but we'll see what happens there. Should the U.S. Let's see, Clorox Bleach donates $5 and says, shout out Clorox Bleach. What a wonderful cleaning supply. Should we get Jurgen Klinsmann as our coach? And I would say absolutely not. Jurgen Klinsmann hasn't coached a team since the United States. He did have 2 weeks in charge of, I believe, Hertha Berlin, but that fell through. Jurgen Klinsmann has been an analyst, a broadcaster, and just not had a coaching job in quite some time. I don't think that bringing in Jurgen at this point would be advantageous to us at all. I think it's, you ride with Greg Berhalter. And to be fair to Berhalter, I think that the team is showing that they're creating, they're building up really well. There's a lot of interchange and a lot of good things are happening. It's just that creating those final chances in the final third, that last piece of the puzzle that is holding the U.S. back right now. Let's click on Jay Cool here. I had a friend in high school named Jay Cool. Shout out to people named Jay Cool. Zardes is a big oaf with zero soccer skills. Turner should never play against quality teams. Greg using all the subs before Richard injury led to Dos Acero 2-0. I don't know if I would say that Zardes is a big oaf with zero soccer skills. I thought he was decent. I mean, this is a tough window for the U.S., man, because Pepe hasn't been scoring and he's just made the move, so there's that concern there. And then beyond that, Josh Sargent, prior to his big 2 goals, his big brace on Saturday, was just non-existent for Norwich, and he's still playing on the wing. He hasn't been playing striker. Daryl Dike goes down with an injury. It's who are you going to call in that situation? I understand wanting to play Pepe, but there are other factors going on. So, and I think all that being said, I didn't think Zardes was the issue at all tonight. I thought Zardes played pretty well. I thought he got into good positions. I thought that his positioning on the field allowed Christian Pulisic to get into better positions. I thought the team flowed really well. I thought he held the ball up well. So I don't think that this was on Zardes. I think it was on the players who are supposed to be our stars. Our stars are supposed to carry us through, and we didn't get enough tonight from Serginho Dest or Robinson or Aronson or Pulisic especially, McKinney. These guys didn't create what we needed. So I wouldn't put the blame on Zardes for this game, certainly. Pop Culture Theology says, if we finish fourth in the Octo, will GGG be fired? Potentially, I mean, if we finish fourth and then lose the playoff, there's certainly Greg would be fired. But if we finish fourth and win the playoff, I don't think we would. And I don't think we're in a lot of danger of finishing fourth right now, honestly. We do have Panama at home in that next window, and I'm actually going to that game. I got tickets. It's going to be in Orlando. I'm looking forward to that. But it's going to really come down to, can the U.S. beat Panama at home, and if we can do that, then you've pretty much got your ticket punched to the World Cup. That's what it's going to come down to. And honestly, if the U.S. cannot beat Panama at home, then what are we doing? I mean, that's pretty pathetic. Team Gearhead Yank Report member says, the redeeming thing about Greg is that the guys want to play for him. There's a good level of trust between them and him. And yeah, I think that that's a big chunk of what being a head coach is all about, especially being a national team head coach, where you just don't have a lot of opportunity to really work on things with the players. I mean, you've got a group together that maybe there's 12 core guys that are a part of the squad, but outside of that, you're rotating a lot of new players in all the time. A lot of these players are playing with new players all the time, and you're only getting them for a couple weeks out of the year, you know. And whenever you do get them, there's travel days, there's regen days, and then you get a little bit of training together. There's a lot of classroom training, but outside of that, actually being on the pitch, it's tough. So a lot of being a national team head coach is simplifying things, having a clear vision, and then having the team together, a sense of togetherness, and having them be on the same page, caring for each other, and wanting to move forward as a team. And I think we do see that from this squad, but tonight it did not work out in our favor. Let's see. Rambling Runoff. We are going to qualify for the World Cup. Let's worry about that first. Then let's worry about how we would play in Qatar. And yeah, I think that's a solid point, and that's a solid way to look at things, man. We've seen so many times that how a team performs in World Cup qualifying is no reflection or indication as to how they're going to play in the World Cup. The World Cup is a much different thing than World Cup qualifying. Consider in CONCACAF, of course, you have, I guess you'd say now you have your three big teams in the USA, Mexico, and Canada, and they are able to play certain ways, but outside of that, a lot of these smaller CONCACAF teams play the same way. You know what you're going to get in a CONCACAF away game, the type of officiating, the type of field conditions, all that stuff. A World Cup is way different. You're playing most of the time on immaculate fields. You're playing against confederations that you don't normally play against. So it's just a whole different thing. So I don't necessarily know if how things are going right now in World Cup qualifying is going to have an indication or an impact on how things will go in the World Cup. But as you said, we definitely have to qualify first, and we're still in position to do that. It's just really disappointing. L. Fur says, Berhalter is not an elite coach. And, man, did anybody say he was? I don't think that he is. Yeah. But then again, how many elite coaches actually coach national teams? I think that at this moment in time, there are 3 elite coaches in the world. Pep Guardiola, Thomas Tuchel, and Jurgen Klopp, and the 3 of them coaching the EPL, where they can get paid a ton of money and get whoever they want for their team, and it's a much better job. And for the most part, national teams are not afforded that luxury, and they're not able to get those coaches. I mean, if you look at all the top national teams, it's not like there's big name coaches out there. I don't know who you would say is like an elite coach as a national team coach. It's just not really how that works. Whew. Dakota Young, boys, this is a therapy session, man. This was a rough night. There was so much expectation going into this Canada game, and I thought it was going to be a real statement game for the U.S. and it was a statement game, but unfortunately, it was a statement game for Canada. We had some opportunities there. We got some looks that we wanted, but it just didn't go. It just didn't go the way we wanted it to. Dakota Young says, got to find new forwards to bring on off the bench. Can't bring on Morris and Areola for Aronson and Pulisic. Why did you spell it like that? Pulisic. I mean, who are these guys? You know, I think Conrad De La Fuente is another player who was injured right before that, right before the call-ups, and even him. I don't know if he's really playing it at a level that you would say is like better than anybody else at the moment. Maybe those things will reveal themselves in time, but as of right now, the U.S. has just got to. We've got the stars on the field, man. I don't think it's the subs. I don't think the subs are the issues, guys. I don't think it's the players coming on off the bench. I think it's the players who are starting the games. We're not getting enough out of our big players, the star players. Those guys have to create the chances. Those guys have to finish the chances. We got to get big things out of our big players. If you look at Canada, who beat us against Canada in those two games, or who tied us in that first window? It was Davies. It was Alphonso Davies who just devastated the U.S. in that first game. Canada's biggest star came through for him on the night, and then tonight, who came through for Canada? It was their big striker, whose name is escaping me right now, who I'm sure y'all are all going to say in the comment section. Jonathan David. Jonathan David showed up big in the big moment for Canada. That's what we're lacking from the U.S. right now. We need our biggest players to show up for us and carry us, and it's just not happening right now. Struggle, but we're having to struggle through it. Team Gearhead says, we're not getting Zidane or Ole, and yeah, no, of course not. Yeah, it's not going to happen. I don't think that there's like magical or mythical national team coaches out there who are such a big upgrade over Greg Berhalter that could come in and just change things this quickly before a World Cup. I mean, I think that we have what we have at this point, and we got to build forward with this. And I think there's a lot of bones and building blocks that are really attractive right now, and I think that there are a lot of things to be excited about as a U.S. fan. But I think it's going to take some time, and hopefully by the time we hit that World Cup, we're going to be hitting our stride, and some of our players are going to be starting to kind of enter their primes and feel a lot more comfortable, and we're going to be getting a lot more out of them than we did tonight. But it hasn't happened, man. And I think we really saw it. We really missed Tim Weah. In the last few games for the U.S., Tim Weah has been that danger man. He has been that player who's come through. He has shown that cutting edge in that final third. I mean, Tim Weah has gotten himself into very similar positions that Brendan Aronson got into tonight, that Christian Pulisic got into tonight. The difference is that when Tim Weah got into those positions, he was able to get some space, put in really nice crosses, and either score for himself or create opportunities for others. And we just didn't see that from our two wingers tonight. Brendan Aronson, who's supposed to be a $30 million winger heading to Leeds, or potentially a $30 million winger that Leeds put in a bid for, and Christian Pulisic, you know the star that he has, and it just wasn't enough tonight. Hudson Casipel? Okay, Hudson. We have talent compared to CONCACAF, but on the world stage, we do not have the players to carry out Greg's heavy possession style. Our roster really is not built for breaking down a defense. I don't know about that, man. I don't know about that. I mean, there's going to come a point where we don't have the talent for that. Certainly. The U.S. is not like a top 5 squads, certainly talent-wise, but I think that we'll be able to beat a lot of teams in the World Cup. We're not going to win the World Cup, but we can compete with a lot of these teams. And whenever we do come up against a world power, we certainly have a team that's going to be able to do a lot of things that Canada did tonight, which is defend well and compactly, and then explode on counterattacks. And I think we're going to see that whenever the U.S. comes up against these teams that are going to dominate us in possession. It's just not something that we're going to be doing in CONCACAF very often. And I'm hoping to see potentially if the U.S. does qualify for the World Cup, which hopefully it'll happen in March. But if that happens, the U.S. will be able to have some friendlies against some competition that's much better than us right now, and we'll be able to see some of that. But at the moment, due to COVID and due to travel restrictions and just due to all kinds of things, due to international tournaments that are taking place all the time, the U.S. hasn't had the opportunity to take on a lot of these squads, but hopefully we'll get to see it. Let's see what Joe Crusher has to say. Joe's been following the Yank Report for a long time. Shout out, Joe. Canada rejected Weah because of his vaccination status. Apparently, it's good enough for everyone else except Canada. Yeah, what I read, and don't put too much into this, but what I read was that Weah had his first of 2 vaccination shots and ended up getting COVID in between them. And once that happened, he put off getting the second shot, which classified him as being vaccinated in France, but not in Canada. And that's why he ended up being out of this match. And disappointing because he's been the U.S.'s brightest star in the attack in this qualifying cycle, but not so much here. And speaking of this qualifying cycle, I think the U.S. is going to get a huge shot in the arm if Gio Reyna is able to return from March. The indications right now are he's going to come back for Borussia Dortmund at the end of this World Cup cycle, so we'll get to see Gio back again. Hopefully, he'll be able to get back into form and get back into... Boy, before he went down, he was looking absolutely phenomenal. Absolutely phenomenal for Borussia Dortmund. And I think in that first game, that one World Cup qualifier that he did play against El Salvador, he was the U.S.'s best attacking player, maybe the best player on the field for the U.S. And maybe he's what the doctor ordered. Maybe he's going to be able to have that creativity and find that spark and provide that offense that we need. But... boy, oh boy. Yeah, Dan Kane says, unforced errors, though. That's what the worst problem was. Wait till you watch it back. And yeah, that's true, man. Whenever you watch a game back, I don't know how many of you guys watch games back, and you'll have the opportunity to for this one because it's on Paramount Plus. And if you have Paramount Plus, you can watch all the qualifiers are still there, so you'll be able to check it out. But whenever you watch a game back and you know what happens and you're not quite as emotional and you can kind of see what actually happened, you can see things like that. And I think... a lot of unforced errors. Yeah, we certainly saw that on that first goal with Matt Turner. There were some sloppy giveaways. I thought Yunus Musa had a bunch of giveaways early on. Early on, Yunus Musa would just seem to just off the pace for whatever reason. I thought he kind of grew into the match, but early on he was giving the ball away. And credit to Canada because they took those giveaways and just absolutely made us pay for them. Jace says, I have to disagree about only relying on our stars. Against compact teams, if we're not going to crash the box with more than 2 on crosses, then we have to shoot from range against compact teams. Yeah, okay, yeah, you can shoot from range. That's fine. But once again, I mean, our team is made of a lot of stars. A lot of the 11 that started tonight and the lot of 11 that's going to start is star players. And we got to get more out of Christian Pulisic. I think just bottom line, I mean, we need Christian Pulisic to be beating players on the wing whenever he's in one-on-one situations and putting the opposition in dangerous moments where they're having to make choices. It's freeing up opponents. We need Christian Pulisic and Brendan Aronson and Tim Weah and Serginho Dest to be doing these special things. These are special players. They got to be creating moments for us in every game. And it's happening here, it's happening there, but it's not happening in every game, and it certainly didn't happen tonight. So maybe shooting from range is a good idea. I mean, it certainly worked in that Costa Rica game where Serginho Dest hit that wonder strike, but shooting from range is a very low percentage shot, and it's not really like basketball where, you know, you hit some shots from range, the team kind of comes out and honors it more. You're still going to have open looks from range. It's just, you know, can you hit those shots? And it's a tough thing to do in soccer. Ryan C says, to me, this is all on Greg. I think to me, this is all on Greg. Everything is just stale and trying to play a system that takes the life out of what their instincts are. And I don't know if I agree with that, man. I think a lot of this system puts players in positions to do what they're great at, to be isolated and to run one-on-one at players. I mean, we saw Serginho Dest have that opportunity a lot tonight. We saw Brendan Aronson put in a position where he can press and use his energy to make things happen. And we saw Christian Pulisic in a few one-on-one situations, exactly what you want Christian Pulisic to do. We saw Musa able to run at the defense. We saw Weston able to run at the defense. We saw Anthony Robinson able to get down that line and put in some crosses, but I think that the quality at the end of all of them was poor. I mean, that's the thing, man. You can draw up a system and get players in the positions that you want them to get in, but once they get there, they've got to do something with it, and that's sort of how soccer goes. Tough. Hudson says Pulisic is hardly ever in one-on-one situations though because they always throw extra bodies his way. And I love Jedi, but he's subpar at link-up play. Man, gosh, there was a few moments there. Let's see, in the 35th minute, a Pulisic penetrating dribble directly at the Canada back line draws a foul outside of the Canada box. Pulisic goes for goal on the ensuing free kick, but the shot is over the bar. That was a moment where we had exactly what we wanted. Pulisic had the ball sort of in the channel, sort of central, and he was running at the defense. He had players out wide. He could have picked a pass there, but instead he held on to it a bit too long, and he went down, and we were not able to do anything with the ensuing free kick. And that was a moment there that I think if you draw it up and if you circle it at the beginning of the play, it's like that's exactly what we want. Christian Pulisic with a defender in front of him that he has the opportunity to beat or find that pass, and it just didn't happen for him. Again, in the 12th minute, Pulisic finds a ball in behind on the left flank. He gets the corner on his defender and fires in a cross that's easily collected by the keeper. Another moment where Christian Pulisic got the left flank. Man, he beat his defender and he had an opportunity to put in a cross, and it just wasn't very good. In the 19th minute, a really good play, man. Brennan Aronson cuts across the box, and he finds Christian Pulisic on that left flank, and he plays the ball into Pulisic, where Pulisic is just one-on-one, just isolated against a Canadian defender. But he's unable to find an open lane, and his shot just goes right at the defender. I'm not like heavily criticizing Christian Pulisic here. I'm just saying that Christian Pulisic was put in the moment in the spaces that we really want to see him in, and he wasn't able to get it done. And part of that's due to phenomenal defending from Canada. But once again, man, the U.S. just has to capitalize on these moments and be cleaner and crisper in the final third, and we just didn't tonight. We just didn't tonight. Let's see. I'll take a few more before we close out. I know we got a bunch of people in the stream right now, so make sure that you're hitting the like button, you're hitting subscribe. If this is your first Yank Report journey, we've been at it for a long time with these Americans, watching them go through. It's been a tough qualifying cycle, a tough result tonight. Credit to Canada for showing that they actually are kings of CONCACAF. We thought it was going to be us, but it turns out it's them. Wonderful. But let's see. Fat Ninja Norwales. Did I get that right? That's a fun one. Aronson has scored way more than Pepe. I mean, Aronson scored a lot, but he's playing for a squad that they are far superior to all the teams in their league over in Salzburg for Austria. It's going to be interesting to see Aronson in that next leg of the UEFA Champions League, because it looks like Salzburg is retaining Aronson's services despite tremendous interest from Leeds in order to go further in that Champions League. That's going to be the big test for Aronson. But to your point, I mean, Pepe's got to score more goals. Pepe's got to score more goals for club and country. I know that he's brand new to Augsburg, but he's had some moments for Augsburg already where he's had some shots on goal, and it hasn't been going in for him. And that's coming off of an end of the season for FC Dallas where he hasn't been scoring a lot of goals. Tough. Ahmed Abadi says, Aronson has been super solid. I agree. We just need to wait for Reyna. I think Reyna is going to be a tremendous shot in the arm for the squad. He's a tremendous player. I mean, he's an absolute phenom. That being said, it's not like the U.S. lacked the quality needed to get a result in Canada tonight. We had the players on the field that could do it, and it just didn't happen. Fat Ninja, once again, if we beat Mexico in the Azteca, will it make up for this loss? And I don't know. I think it's going to sting for a while, because what you can't take back is that Canada beat both the U.S. and Mexico, and they did not lose to the U.S. or Mexico away in this cycle. So even if we beat Mexico in Azteca, which is possible, it's definitely, we do have the quality to do that. It's not going to take away from the fact that Canada are now the kings of CONCACAF based on their results in this window. So that sting is still going to, that stinger is still going to be stuck in our arm for a while. But, a win against Mexico will help out a lot, and it'll certainly help the U.S. qualify for the World Cup and help with confidence moving forward. But this one's going to stick in our craw for a long time. Hudson says, Greg said he was unhappy with his result, but not unhappy with the performance. Thoughts on that? Yeah, and it kind of mirrors what I've been saying a lot. I thought we did a lot of what we wanted to do. We moved the ball well. We found the players that we wanted to find in the positions where we wanted to find them. On this night, we were not able to create chances from that. We were not able to convert chances for that. And on the flip side, Canada was able to do that. And I think, that happens in soccer. There's a ton of variance in this game. Every year, Chelsea, despite being one of the top, let's be wild and crazy here and say Chelsea's only a top 5 team in the world, one of the richest teams in the world, one of the most expensive lineups in the world. Every year Chelsea's going to go out and lose a game to one of the lower tier teams in the Premier League. It happens. Every year Bayern Munich drops a game that nobody's expecting them to drop. There's a lot of variance in soccer. Sometimes things don't go the way you want them to go. That's just a reality of this game, and that's what makes World Cup qualifying, which is a small sample size thing, so terrifying. That being said, credit to Canada for the win tonight. They did really well. I think we said this after the El Salvador game, and I'll say it again. I think if the U.S. continues to play the way they're playing right now, it's gonna work out for them. They're gonna qualify, and they're gonna be just get better and better as we go along. I think if we look at the beginning of World Cup qualifying, how the team was playing versus how they're playing now, it's night and day. I think the tactics are better. I think that the continuity is better. They can possess the ball from the back. They can create things. They move in and out of their positions really well. It's just been about finding those finishes in the final third, and that's where it's a struggle. 427 Motorsport LLC, Limited Liability Corporation. I like that you put that in there. We got to know that you're an LLC, just in case. We dominated possession. We just don't have the strikers to finish. You can blame the strikers, but we also didn't create the chances that the strikers need to finish. I mean, I don't recall too many missed finishes in this game. I think that we had some half chances. Like Paul Arriola had that half chance with that bicycle kick. Ricardo Pepi had a half chance where we were kind of just throwing things in the box and hoping it could happen. But it wasn't as if that our attackers were creating chances that our strikers weren't finishing. I didn't see a ton of that. I think it's creating the chances in this game that was a struggle. In the El Salvador game, it was we created chances, but we didn't finish them. In this game, we didn't even create the chances. We were put in positions to create the chances. We found ourselves in advantageous positions where we had the numbers. We were running the box. We had opportunities. We lacked the quality. We made the wrong decision. We didn't put enough on the balls. Whatever it was, all of the above, it just didn't go out. Guys, I think I'm going to wrap it up right there. We're over 51 minutes. Thank you to everyone who came to the live stream. We got 120 people in here right now. Give yourselves a round of applause. Make sure you hit that like button. Make sure you hit that subscribe button. Shout out to Mike Irish, who was in here earlier, and Manuel Oliveras, who are my tier 2 members. Speaking of members, Team Gearhead, another Yank Report member, says, thanks for the vending session. Not sure if you've opened a Discord community, but I highly recommend it. Looking forward to see this channel keep growing as we get closer to Qatar. Yeah, man, I appreciate that. I don't have that on the... that's not something that I'm thinking about doing right now. There's a lot on my plate, and I'm trying right now to continue just finding really quality guests, have really quality conversations. I think we've had some really cool conversations lately. Like guys like Alexi Lawless and Joe Lowry are people that I think make for really interesting discussions, and I think those are videos that I'm really proud of. If you guys have seen those, go check them out. So I'll continue to do that. Look forward to, I actually have another guest who is another guy who has a lot of national media experience that should be on the show tomorrow to kind of break this game down once we had some time to cool down and give it a rewatch and kind of lick our wounds and kind of figure out what exactly went wrong. But I'm always looking forward to giving you guys the best content that I could possibly give you. So thank you guys for hanging out tonight. Thank you guys for always hanging out and just being a great community. If you haven't hit that subscribe button, if you haven't hit the like button, guys, a rough night in Canada. We look forward to bounce back against Honduras and Minnesota. Thank you guys for hanging out. My name is Sam, and this is the Yank Report brought